are entitled to answers. They don't want to be held accountable. They want you to sit back, shut up, and let them run your country into the ground, no questions asked. Now, consider the case of what happened when my next guest, David Menzies from Rebel News, approached Canada's Deputy Prime Minister with his own question.
Ms. Freeland, how come the IRGC is not a terrorist group? Why is your government supporting Islamo-Nationalism? What? Excuse me. What are you doing?
You're under arrest for assault. Why are you pushing me? You're under arrest for assault. You're under arrest for assault. Police, you're under arrest for assault. How am I under arrest? You bumped into me. You pushed into me. I was just scrubbing. I got my credentials here and you just bumped into me. So excuse me. You're under arrest.
What is your name and your badge? What is your name and your badge?
You've been told you're under arrest.
Why am I under arrest? He blocked my way. What? I was just scrumming Chrystia Freeland.
I'm a police officer. You're under arrest.
What is your name and your badge number?
Assaulting a police officer.
How is that possible?
Okay.
No, that's not Russia. That's Canada. Joining me now, David Menzies, Rebel News reporter. David, why were you arrested?
Well, Laura Ingraham, it's a pleasure to be with you. And that is the $64,000 question, isn't it? I would say it's for a crime not yet on the books in Canada, and that is asking political elite people insensitive or impolite queries. And by the way, that was the reason we went down there. This was a vigil being held at the Richmond Hill Center for Performing Arts. It was to mark the 4th anniversary, Laura, of the Ukrainian airline that was shot down over Iran by the IRGC. 179 innocent civilians died on that aircraft. Actually, make it 180 because there was an unborn child on that flight. Not that the left would ever, classify that death as a homicide.
But in the video, David, you were. It's obvious you were shoved by that security guy. He shoved you, and it's like he didn't realize he was being filmed. He shoved you, and then he said, "You're arrested for assault." I mean, it's obvious in looking at the video. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So it's so bad that it's kind of good because we see what they really are all about.
Oh, absolutely. And he was more than a security official, Laura. He's a Mountie. He's a Royal Canadian Mounted Policeman. And I can tell you this, I felt him before I even saw him. My focus was on Deputy Prime Minister Freeland as I was trying to scrum her. She wasn't giving any answers, but I'm just trying to do my job. And you clearly see at the 9-second mark of the video, because we've slowed it down to slow motion, almost like looking at the Zapruder film, that he puts out his arm like a basketball pick or a clothesline in wrestling. And he initiated the contact, and I was absolutely stunned. I was, handcuffed, frog marched to a York Regional Police cruiser. And I can tell you this, within an hour, as I sat handcuffed in that cruiser, Laura, I got word from the police officers who were detaining me that we're going to let you go because the RCMP officer is declining to press charges.
Yeah.
I can only assume he looked at the video there were so many eyewitnesses, so many people filming this, and he went, yikes, this looks bad. And it is bad.
Now, David, they released a statement, which I should read. They said that they were involved in a, quote, incident while deployed on a protective operation. The RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, is looking into the incident and the actions of all parties involved. No further comment is available at this time. David, what I'd like you to address, please, is, Americans who say, oh, okay, this is just one misunderstanding. This doesn't portend anything of such a similar nature happening here in the United States. And to that, you would say?
I would say you have the most cherished document in the world when it comes to freedom. I'm talking about your Constitution, specifically the First Amendment. And I see your Constitution under attack by the left, Laura. Oh, it was just old white men who were slave owners. It's not really a valid document until they use the Constitution to make their argument. Suddenly, it's a valid document. We don't have a First Amendment in Canada. As a matter of fact, Laura, the entire mainstream media in Canada has been bought and paid for by the Liberal government. They rely on subsidies. It is a outrageous and egregious conflict of interest.
Yeah, it's the state media.
How can you expect somebody on the government payroll to cover the government fairly? It's an egregious conflict of interest. And, in a way, it's funny that President Biden hasn't followed Prime Minister Blackface in terms of subsidizing, media outlets in your nation to curry favor. Then again, maybe he doesn't need to. But I would argue that because of your First Amendment rights, if this happened to an American journalist, that is a multi-million-dollar lawsuit in the offing. It's completely unconstitutional, but we live in a banana republic now, Laura, in Canada. Sorry, we can't grow bananas here. How about a maple syrup republic? Yeah, well, that has a better ring to it.
Well, David, I hope, maybe that Royal Canadian Mounted Police, maybe you and he will get a beer and solve this problem or work together in some way. But I think it's a bad sign, and we'll see what happens next. Keep in touch with us, please, David. Thank you. All right. The wildest part of Lloyd Austin's disappearance, well, no one thought it was odd that